D says turn the following fractions into decimals and then percentages. Calculate the problem as a percent. Round your percent answers to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so that's... Okay. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. All right, 15 over 75. Okay, 15 over 75. Okay, we're kind of in the same place here as we were before, which was how do you do a division problem like that? So I'm going to show you some shortcuts that might save you some time. 15 divided by 75, these numbers have a common factor of 5 each. They both divide by 5. As a matter of fact, they both divide by 15, but let's say I didn't see that, and let's say I just saw the 5. So if you take 5 out of 15, it leaves 3 behind. And if you take 5 out of 75, it leaves 15 behind. And then when you get to this point, you realize, oh goodness, they also both have a common factor of 3. So if I take 3 out of 3, I leave 1. If I take 3 out of 15, I leave 5. So 15 75ths is the same as 1/5. Okay. That's a fraction, still a fraction. Marilyn and Shannon want decimals. So you have to go back to your algorithm for division to change it. So we're dividing 1 by 5. So 5 divided into 1. And right away, you can see it's going to be less than 1, so it's going to need a decimal point. So now you can look at the 1.0 not as that, but as 10. How many times does 5 go into 10? Well, 5 goes into 10 twice. So 5 goes into 1.0 0.2 times. So the decimal of 15 75ths is 0.2. 0.2. But that's a decimal. Marilyn and Shannon also want percent. So 0.2 as a percent. So if you've got 0.2, the one thing that you want to remember, and we mentioned this before, any number without a denominator can be written with a denominator over 1. So 0.2 can be written as 0.2 over 1. And this is where we can throw back to the whole idea of pretending we're European by dealing with powers of 10. This is 0.2 per 1. They want it written as a percent. So you ask yourself, how do you get from 1 to 100? Well, you multiply by 100. That's how you get from 1 to 100. Which means you have to do the same kind of thing to the top number. You have to multiply the top number also by 100. All these equal signs that you see here, all these equal signs, that means that the two numbers on either side of the equals are the same number. And the only way to keep a fraction equal to a fraction is by editing the top and bottom in the same way. So if you multiply 1 by 100 to get 100, multiplying 2 by 100 is going to then move the decimal 2 to the right and leave you with 20. And one way you might be able to see this as well, I just thought of this now, I wish I had thought of it earlier, 0.2 can also be said as 2/10, which can be written as 2/10, which if you look at 2/10 and 20/100ths, the only difference is you're adding a 0 to both of those numbers, which would be effectively multiplying both of them by 10, which wouldn't change the value of that fraction or decimal at all. So for part D, the first question, the decimal is 0.2 or 2/10, and the percent is just 20%. Now, for the second one, we've got 8/84. 8/84. Let's take a look at that one. Same way. Start with a fraction. Now, the first thing I notice is that I know that 8 and 84 have a common factor that we can make life a little bit easier with. They both have a 4 in them. So if I divide 8 by 4, I'm going to get 2. And then divide 84 by 4, I'm going to get 21. Ew, that's ugly. 21. Blech. 2 21sts. That's not pretty. That's not going to be a nice number like 0.2 like it was last time. It's close to 0.1, but it's not. But that's okay. We have an algorithm that will help us with this. We're dividing 21 into 2. So all we've got to do is do the algorithm. 21 divided into 2. Now, it's going to be a very small number, so we have to add a place, so we know it's going to be less than 1. 21 also doesn't go into 20. Okay. Then we just have that another place. And we're going to put a 0 there to hold that place. Now 21 can go into 200. And I bet it's almost 10 times, because 10 times 21 is 210. I'm going to bet it's 9 times. 9 times 1 is going to be 9. And 9 times 2 is going to be 18. Now, I know what you're thinking. Technically speaking, there's a decimal point here, so I'm going to put it there just to make us happy. And now we're going to subtract down. That's going to be a 1. That's going to be a 1. So it's going to be 0.11. Okay? Now the problem here is 21 doesn't divide into 11. So we've got to put another space there and bring that guy down. And now we got to figure out how many times 21 goes into 110. I'm going to go with 5. I think it's 5, because 5 times 20 is about 100. So I'm going to stick a 5 right there. And I'm going to do 5 times 1 is 5. There we go. And then 5 times 2 is 10. There we go. This looks good. I subtract again. 5. There we go. Just 5. That's beautiful. Now, we're going to be able to go pretty far. I don't know if this is ever going to terminate. I don't think it is. I'm going to do one more place because I see, based on the rounding, why I have to go one more place. So I'm going to bring that down, and now it's 21 into 50, and this is just going to be a 2, because 2 times 21 is 42, and then there's going to be a remainder left over of 8, and then 21 goes into 80 about, not quite 4 times, 3 times. And now I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop there because I remember reading the rounding instructions on this one. It says, round your percent to the nearest hundredth. Now, as a decimal, we weren't told what to round a decimal to. So I don't know what to round a decimal to. I'm going to give you every possible rounding of the number I've got so far. 80952. Okay. If you round this to the nearest tenth, it would be 0.1. Because, again, practicing our rounding from before, 10th place, that's big, that goes up to 0.1. If you were rounding it to the nearest 100th place, that tells this to go up, which would go up to 10, which means it would, again, look like that. Okay, that's kind of a goofy rounding thing because you have a 9. If you were rounding to the 1000th place, that would stay 5 because of the 2. If you were rounding to the 10,000th place, that would stay 2 because of the 3. I'm going to stop there because I can't round to this place because I didn't carry the calculation out far enough. And I'm pretty sure that one of these is going to be the one that Marilyn or Shannon wants you to round to. Okay. Now, the last part of the question is the interesting part. Round the percent to the nearest hundredth. And I'm assuming that means hundredth of a percent. So, I'm going to erase all these awesome rounding work we just did. It was good, don't get me wrong, but it's unnecessary for this. Just like last time, this is per 1. We need to make it per cent. Percent. That means the decimal has to come 2 to the right to make it bigger, which makes this thing 9.523. So as a percent, this is 9.523%. If we round this off to the nearest hundredth place, it's the 2 right there, which would mean it would be rounded off to 9.52%, or not more properly, but probably more commonly written as 9.52 with the percent symbol. Man, that was a workout. That's how you do it by hand. I could be completely off base here. Maybe you could just plug 2 divided by 21 into your calculators and have it spit out the number for you too. And that's cool too, but this is, I don't know what the calculator rules are. I know sometimes some of the nursing and chem classes make you do all this stuff with just pencil and paper. So that was I haven't done long division since I was like in 7th grade, so that was actually kind of fun. All right, let's move on.